That's crazy. But anyway, welcome back. We're back for a season four.
Forgot how to talk in between
Right.
seasons, I see.
Blerd Talk. Actually, no. For people who have not noticed, there has been a rebrand. It is now the Blerd Initiative. Thanks to Jock here with the artwork. He contributed greatly. This Jock right here. I don't know where he's at on y'all's end, but he's in my bottom right.
I have y'all just lined up in a line. Dante's on the right, Alex on the right of Dante, then Jock is on the right of Alex. That's all I got.
Well, all right. So also the podcast is now on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. We're making little waves, little ripples.
We
in
everywhere.
The podcast ocean.
Baby ripples.
Yeah. So starting off this season 4, with this episode is Buying Black and the realities of Black entrepreneurship. I almost forgot it again. I almost had to go jack and check. But I'm gonna get better throughout this.
Go jack and check.
I almost did.
English
I
is
didn't
hard.
know. So I've had a journey of discovery with or I had a conversation with my brother earlier this week about Buying Black, and I realized that I have a prejudice against my own people.
Oh, do tell.
Interesting.
So in my experience, so first of all, to clarify, I'm all for Buying Black, right? But I've experienced more so with the Black community, this like unprofessionalism, super extremely overpriced for something. They act like if they're selling like a shirt or something, they acting like it's like
$40
Gucci or something.
Yeah, right.
Like they act as well. The impression I get, I could be wrong. I could just be an asshole about it, but they consider it top of the line and like, no, start small. Like, but I mean, I understand they trying to get some profit. I get it. I'm just not messing with it personally.
If you want to elaborate on like the price thing, because that's like a big one, I think. Like, do you want to like take a sec and go through it, or
so like? I feel like, okay, so when I say overpricing, like that is a good, I really got to think deep about this one. So let's say if two people got a pair of shirt, like if a Black owned store has a shirt and then white owned or Asian owned has a shirt, they're the same shirt, right? They say they both white tees. The Black store is probably gonna sell it for $40, where the Asian's probably gonna sell it for $10. I don't know why that is. That's just my personal experience. I can't speak for everybody. I can't speak for the whole community because I was corrected about that with my brother. So you can't speak for the rest of them. That's only your experience.
Okay, I can run you down a couple of reasons why, ranging from understandable to you should probably have some prejudice. And I don't know which one it's going to be for any individual situation, but like, so one of the reasons, like one of the more legit reasons why it tends to be overpriced has to do with like, it's easier to make money and to make money selling things for cheap when you already have money. This is something like I experienced with starting a jewelry brand, is that the cost of, this is like a very counterintuitive thing, but the cost of making something cheap is usually more than making it expensive as far as like your ability to turn a profit. So if you make something cheap, there's a number of things you're going to want to put more money into: manufacturing, your process, your research, marketing. A lot of times you just need to have already like a demographic that's going to buy your stuff. That's why like you hear a lot of talk from entrepreneurs about niches, but then when you get to something like, you know, the size of like the big companies, like they just talk about like markets, right? And I think like one of the big things, like, so I guess like a niche would technically be a market, but like when I see like those large companies talk about markets, they're talking about millions of people. But when you're talking about a niche, especially if you're talking about like some FUBU situation when it's like,
can you fix your face?
Huh?
Can you fix your face?
Yeah, you look zooted. Like you was on drugs.
I had to. I'm sorry. I had to interrupt that, man. You can't. I can't just have you out here looking stupid the whole podcast, man. Just fix your face. All right.
I was.
You were not here, else. And that's okay. It's okay. We don't need to say too many words. You weren't here.
No, money talk is boring as fuck. I honestly, I didn't get into money talk until like I was in my late 20s because like that's just boring as fuck. And if I'm boring anyone right now, I'm sorry. But is this the reality? So that's another reality about like being like a Black entrepreneur. Is like there is so much boring shit you have to learn and go through for like just to be operational. You know what I mean? Like there's a bunch of crap I know about just like how markets work and how finance works that like was like it took me years to get it just because like it was so uninteresting. Like I would tune out. I would Kenny every time I had like a budget conversation. Like anytime I had to talk about real, I mean,
turned this
like
man into a whole adjective.
Yeah, you mean a verb? I would just straight up Kenny.
I mean, how you describe something? Describe it. I would Kenny. That technically could be a lot of things. Yeah,
I would just straight up Kenny. No, when it came to like money talk, like I even had I used to have this term for like people who like worked in finances. I'll call them money people, and it was meant to like nowadays it's just like a term just to clarify, but back in the day like that used to be pejorative because I like just thought it was so boring and so like weird that I like developed this pejorative to like alienate them a little bit. But the reality is like
and that got in my juice. Don't just keep going.
Oh no worries. The reality is though like finances are jacked up, and another reason why it might be more expensive can be that like it can be harder to get finance. So like getting loans and all that stuff, like being Black. And so that's another thing that can cause things to be more expensive because you just don't have that starting capital, right? So like a project that starts like grassroots and you have maybe like, let's say like you have like 1K to start it versus someone else who can just drop 12K from their pocket and then someone else who can get finance for like 30, 50K. Right. And like one of the big places you'll see the difference is in how they can price things. So like a 12K project, you can make something fairly affordable. A 40K project, you can probably start a store, like a physical store. You know what I mean? But if you have a 1K project, unless you got favors, connections, and skills, you're gonna have to open really expensive. And like an example of that people might recognize, even though like people don't like him, is like Elon Musk's technique for making Teslas affordable. Because like when you're starting a product that's as new as electric cars were back in the day, you try to start off making that shit cheap, it's gonna cost you so much money that you might never make a profit. And you might never even get to the end because it's so expensive to make that cheap. But if you start with the luxury version, you know, like you can make those, like a lot of times, like what makes luxury things expensive is how inefficient they are, right? So like if you go back to jewelry, like a lot of things that are super expensive are like hand carved, which is remarkably inefficient, right? Like all my stuff, I can keep it a little cheaper because I do it in 3D and I use a lot of math to actually get it done. So I kind of leverage the computer and my own skills as an artist. You know, I'll take like, you know, like Yuri knows about this. Like I'll take like a logo I've already made for something else and then turn it into a ring, which like dramatically helps me cut the cost. But a lot of times you have like a Black-owned business, like you start off in this place, like you might not have all that much to leverage, you know, and then making things cheap is really hard. But there's also the angle of sometimes, and I've also seen this, where people just overprice things because they want to make a profit real fast. You know?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm glad that you explained that out because now it does provide some type of insight. Because I don't know what I thought. I just thought like, yo, why is that's high? You know, like I didn't know if it was just bad business ethics or whatever the case may be, or you know, I didn't know what it was. I just know I didn't like it, so I just didn't get it.
That's fair.
That's the problem with a lot of these most Black-owned businesses. Because a lot of these things are high up there in the price, and you know, a lot of Black people will think like, oh, you know, I'm Black too, you know, cut the price for me. Nah, bro.
Yeah, now
I
that
gotta,
I can't
gotta
vibe
make
with that.
something.
Like I said, I will support someone with no issues, but I'm not gonna be like, oh, I support you, so give me like a 50% discount or something. That's absurd, right? You know what I'm saying? Like I can't.
Yeah, take a loss for me. Yeah.
I really don't give into that whole, buy it because it's black owned thing. If it's good product, it's a good product. That's it. That's it.
And then what if, like, I know it can, that movement, I guess, buying black movement, I guess you can call it. It can be, I mean, it's not necessarily like a physical, like, but like a lot of people on social media are like, buy black or like almost like a or else type of thing. Okay. And it's like, but what if I want an X-Men comic book? You don't sell X-Men comic books. So I have to go to whoever else to get what I want. If you don't sell what I need, then what you expect somebody to do? But some people in that community just would like almost crucify you for not staying within the black community and buying black.
Yeah, I mean, extremists are, I mean, I almost don't even want to open that can of worms because I feel like we can have a consensus that any extremist version of an idea is bad, right? Because like if you go like, well, I buy exclusively black, there's certain things you'll never buy. You know what I mean? And like necessary things, So I think like we can.
Is this soap made by a black person? Bro,
exactly.
Go take a shower, dog. I don't care.
Right? It's like, or even like
made by a black person?
Or even like, am I gonna pay my water bill? Because like, what if a black person doesn't own the water company? You know what I mean? Like, it can get like a little bit like just extreme and like unnecessary, complicated. But I think like the idea of like try to seek out some black companies like you didn't know about, right? So like, oh shoot, I forgot to wear a shirt. Okay, I'll grab it at some point later. But like, so like an example of like a really highly priced, but I personally find it worth it. Example of like a black men's. This was like I found an African heritage store back in Rhode Island, and I bought a couple outfits for them, and like they're pretty expensive, but it's also like I'd never seen an entire store, especially in like fucking like somewhere above like the winter freezing line, that actually sells like genuinely African stuff for men. Because you can find, right? Like you can find African garb for women pretty easily, but it's very difficult to find like good African garb for men. And I thought like, and then we talked about kind of like the realities of like his business. I thought it was just frozen.
Nah, man, he ain't frozen.
Man, go drink some water. Man. He needs some milk, bro.
You can take a break. Like it's okay.
Like, do you need a coffee? Do you want me to send you some coffee?
I'm listening deep into what he's talking about. I'm just like, yeah, I get what you're saying. My face just goes.
It's so good. It's so good. Sometimes like I'll listen to people with my mouth open, which is why I'll cam off a lot of times. Yeah, no, whenever like I do like my lessons, like whenever I do like my business and budgeting lessons, it's usually a camera off thing. Cause like I will fucking look like a zombie. Like I'll be like a zombie laying in my yoga mat, just like, oh. But yeah.
I'm gonna let it go the third time now. I'm gonna just stare back.
Jock, since you're an artist and you sell pieces and etc. Also Alex, you trying to start your thing, your business. What are the challenges that you have encountered from both perspectives? I know like with Alex, it's not really off the ground, but was there any challenges up until now? Or any hurdles?
No, not really. Nothing outside the normal challenges of like the volume that you have to learn in order to get something started. So like to piggyback what Jock was saying, to start off at the price point, but then going backwards from there's a large amount that goes into operating costs that people don't really think about until they actually start doing. And with most big businesses nowadays, they just easily pass on operating costs to the product itself, to the consumers, because they already have a consumer base. But when you're starting brand new as an entrepreneur, you don't have that consumer base. So your $40 shirt versus a Gucci $40 shirt are two totally different ballparks, even if you have a better quality, because people are more likely to go with something that they already know, especially if there's an easier way to get it than something brand new, fresh off the block, and they have no information about it. I mean, we even do the same thing in relationships. One of my favorite things to ask people is, would you give an ex a second chance, even though he messed up, or a brand new relationship with someone brand new that you don't know anything about? And most people that I've encountered have stated they would rather go with something that's already familiar. That's the exact same thing, especially with marketing, buying things, becoming an entrepreneur. So oftentimes they try and compete with an already established brand, i.e. Gucci, at a $40 price, but they can't because they don't have that brand recognition like Gucci. And they're also not realizing that in the beginning, you're probably going to operate in a loss. And that makes people very squeamish, and they don't want to start a business and operate at a loss. Like, why would you tell someone, hey, operate a business at a loss for a year to two to grow followers and then increase your price slowly to be profitable? Most people would say, why would I do that? Especially in our community, because oftentimes, a lot of times in our community, we want that quick dollar. We want the quick buck. We want it now. We want this money, things like that.
Quick and legal.
And for granted, I mean,
legal.
that most people now, because as I say, we live more in an instant gratification society, but especially with our culture, we've always seen we want that quick money, that quick cash. So that's kind of like the entire gamut of it. So as far as my personal challenges with it so far, I'm more of a slow and steady, and let's make sure we get these things right. Like many times over in the very beginning, people may not seek out an attorney. I went ahead to seek out an attorney just to pay legal costs and things associated with it. That's something most people aren't willing or able to do because of that upfront startup cost. Most people aren't going to sit there and say, man, I might need an attorney for copyright or trademark, or maybe this infringes upon something else that already exists. I may not even be able to start it this way. So there's just a lot of building that has to be done that way, and it takes a lot of time.
Okay, John, do you have any hurdles?
I just want to add to that. So one of, I think, the big hurdles about Black entrepreneurship is realizing that entrepreneurship, period, regardless of race, is like, it's a big endeavor. Like I remember, like, there was a few years, okay, it was almost 10 years ago. Oh my God, we're so old. But like almost 10 years ago, it was like everyone was an entrepreneur, right? Like it's like every guy wore like a t-shirt and a blazer, and it was like, I'm an entrepreneur. And people from there thought it was super easy. It was all about just like your people skills, and like whatever your ideas were. But it's like, as we joke about all the time, it's like there's idea people and then there's execution people. The reality of being an entrepreneur is not only do you need to be an execution person, but you need to hire people for other stuff that like I would say a lawyer, like a good lawyer, is probably one of the best first investments. Then you need someone to help you with the money, especially if like you're not good with money. Like having someone who like an accountant, like someone who can help you budget, someone who can help you plan, and then you need some kind of market insight. Like I happen to have been working in marketing long enough that I didn't need that, and a lot of times if you're making a product for a community you're familiar with, you don't really need it. But a lot of times people, they'll start a business thinking like, oh, I have a great idea. Actually, I have a friend who's like, I'm helping him rebrand right now because he's going through something similar where it's like, he has an amazing product, but he doesn't actually understand the market in which he's in. But he got into that market with an understanding that his product is good, and he thought that's all he needed, right? And it turns out that's not the case. And that I think happens to a lot of people. Like a lot of great ideas don't even make it to people's like eyes because they don't have a marketing campaign. And it's like, and the product is amazing, by the way. Like it's a jam company, and it's like it's jam that is so good that like when people have it taste, they don't just instantly fall in love. Like they want to meet the creator. They like ask me for like their contact information so they can get more. Like it's like if you can taste it, you're gonna want to buy some. But the thing is, a big hurdle is getting people to taste it. Getting people to know it exists. Getting people to give it a shot. And all these things, like, a lot of people are heartbroken because like they know like I have a great product. Like, why am I not like making much money off of it? And it's because like having a great product is just one small part of having a business that functions. Like there's
Mhm.
so many pieces, and like even without the hurdle of being black, it's a tough gig, you
Mhm.
know. But
Oh, so to add on to that, just one last part there. When you said it doesn't even make it to people's eye due to marketing. Think about music that you've listened to over the past 5 to 10 years and how literally all of it is the most repetitive trash we've probably ever heard in our lives, but yet we still hear it. It still makes it to our ears. It's not the fact that great music still isn't being created. It's just the fact that that's not what's being pushed. That's not what the narrative is. That's not what we see. It's the exact same thing. There's so many things around us in this world that kind of build upon each other and link. And these are one way that you would never see something that was never advertised to you. It's the exact same thing.
yeah, you have to look for like genuinely original music the same way you have to look for genuinely original jam or clothes or jewelry, you know? And while there is like a genuine market for it, a lot of times it's just not big enough of a market, you know? Like the number of people, and you know, and like weird things happen, right? So like in jewelry, for example, like like people who look for like really niche jewelry are usually down to spend some pretty crazy amounts of money. But that's a very unique market, you know? Like most markets are just people that just want something new at a roughly maybe a bit more than the price of the thing they're used to, you know? And that's the people who will put in the effort to look for you. You know what I mean? Most people, like, you know, advertisement works because like just by having seen it on TV or having, well, I guess now it's like would be like, you know, you saw it before a YouTube video, just that means that when you walk into a store, you are way more likely to buy that thing, even though you've never tried it or tasted it in your life. But just because
you heard about it, you saw it, it was mentioned, a friend said it.
Yes.
Brand recognition is a thing. I love always telling people like take the brand recognition test where, you know, it's just the images of whatever and people instantly know like the programming is real. And people are always like, oh, it's conspiracy. It's like, no, it's not. It's just the fact you see a McDonald's arch 5,000 times between age 0 to age 1 and you instinctively say, oh, I'll just go to McDonald's. It's comforting now. You don't even know a single person in the McDonald's, but you're like, I'm comfortable here.
Yeah, like
and you see arch from miles away.
Yeah, like some companies, they just have the logo. Like you just see the logo, no words or anything, but you know instantly what it is.
Especially art. Like I don't even know what the Gucci logo is, and that's just because I don't care about any of that stuff. But I'm sure thousands of people know exactly how it looks.
Wonder what's funny? It's just the word Gucci.
Gucci.
Oh.
Yeah, there's another logo that's like it's like a G
just
and
the word itself.
And the C.
Yeah, it's like the G and the C, but like very few people will recognize that one. But most of the time, they just write Gucci in the same font as the G.
As the actual
like that's
G.
like I know the Gucci Louis Vuitton logo.
I have no idea what that one is.
It's an LV, a very fancy looking LV.
What's
very fancy?
Aren't red bottoms a specific type?
Does like a heel or something?
Okay,
it's a lot.
I have a fucking rant about this one.
Oh no.
Okay. So this is like fucking fascinating to me. So this guy I forget what brand actually owns Red Bottom. Because this guy
is who?
The Apple Bottom jeans?
No, Red Bottom.
No, Red Bottom.
The shoes, the heels.
Oh, the shoes.
Yeah. It's not just heels too, Dante. So like my job keeps me cultured with stuff. It's not just shoes or like heels. It's actually this entire brand of all different foot.
I thought it was just heels.
No, it goes sneakers, beyond that. Shoes. Men wear them. It's ridiculous, man.
Yeah. So what happened is this guy somehow was able to patent
the red on the bottom of the
red bottom.
Yes, exactly. Yes. I read the case. It was fantastically amazing to see.
I'm like, how did you? What?
Business for the win. No one can ever design another shoe that has a red at the bottom. Because
what if you started a company called Blue Bottom?
You could. I mean, by that logic, sure, but that the red symbolizes that wealth or that high status or that whatever people see.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a thing.
And you'll see, you know what's funny? There are copycats of Red Bottom.
There are.
So my guess for
people
how you
actually
can
paint the bottom of their shoes red too. People that
Oh
actually
yeah, but
do that.
there's also like, so if you ever look into, so like a patent is like a bizarrely specific creature. Like, so just for the viewers out there, like go to Google patents and like check out what a patent actually looks like. Patents are very bizarre creatures. They can be like weirdly specific, and for that you would need what I think it's called an aesthetic patent. I forget exactly what
I
it
know
is.
someone who actually used to work on patents. I can see if she might be willing to come to actually like
Yeah,
tell us her experiences with it. So we don't have to go in too much in depth about that.
yeah, because that would be really helpful. I've had some experience with patents, just like not that much, but
Mhm.
what I'm guessing happened is that like they had to cite a range of red, because I don't think you can copyright the color red in any context.
Mhm.
So I think they had to give like a range of red. And then my guess is like if you go outside of that range, then like
Then you'd be probably okay. Like a hue, like a hashtag 003784. Like
Exactly.
that specific kind of
Yeah.
red to
That's
Yeah.
yeah, I can
dude,
see it that
that's
way.
insanely specific though. Like,
Yeah.
Makes
That's
sense.
why
So-
people like me are in business though and see these things. They're like, all right, listen, man, you can have 006784 blue, but anything else is off limits to you. I have no idea if that one even is blue. I think it's 6 digits.
yeah,
Art
it
people will
stops
probably
at
know.
it stops at 255, I think, for color.
Okay.
So there would never be a 26 anything. But we don't have to get into that kind of
Yeah, that's a whole
technicality. Like,
different.
we get
yeah.
the
Well,
gist of it.
but
oh no, I was gonna say like one of the things, even though on the flip side of the negative perspective of Black businesses, there are people who actually like complete strangers will support you. Like out of the wood,
Yeah.
like that's why I was telling Alex. When I made the Twitter for the Blerd Initiative, it's a guy on the Instagram. Those links gonna be in the description, by the way. See, marketing, boom, there you go.
Mhm.
Moving on. So
Keep saying Black Initiative.
So apparently we followed each other for a while. He would comment or like, or he'll tag when it was Blerd Talk, he'll tag Blerd Talk randomly in random posts. And I'll see it and I was like, okay, well, whatever. So recently, since maybe that past month, like I'll actually engage, like I'll like the picture or whatever. So when I made the Twitter and he popped up, the algorithm kicked in for me. He popped up on Twitter. I followed him. When I did the rebrand and I announced the rebrand, he liked it and retweeted it, and it got like a few followers coming. I'm like, oh, like this dude really. I was like that. I was telling Alex, I think it was Alex. I was telling somebody I
Yeah.
wanted to cry because of the support.
Yeah, you were.
From like a random person. Shut up, Kenny. The support. No, but it was just over. It was just like it was unexpected.
A lot of emotion.
Yeah, it was unexpected. And I mean, there are, on the flip side of all the negative, there are positive things when it comes to Black entrepreneurship or just buying Black. People will support you. Random people that you never will see ever. This guy according to his Instagram, he lives in Atlanta.
He was just there.
Yeah, but I was an evacuee. I can't say refugee because that's frowned upon. In New Orleans. This is a long story. We'll talk offline about that.
Okay.
we don't have to get into that. We don't
Right,
have to
so,
get into that right now.
Yeah.
he's in Atlanta. Also shout out to FTO Nerd Talk. That's the guy. He's pretty cool in my book. Because he ain't had to do that. And people interacted. So I just appreciate the random shout outs and the tweets and the shares from people within our community.
So I have a question for you about that. And I'll open the floor with everyone for this one because I think that's at least for me, it's a weird point. What are your thoughts that people would just follow or support you solely because you're a Black owned business?
I think the impression I get from him.
No, not him. I'm just saying people in general. So exclude him.
Okay.
Because maybe he just enjoys comic themes and things that he saw that was really cool, regardless of you being Black or not. Because it didn't seem like there was any text saying, oh, another Black person doing their own Black thing. I love when Black like that.
It was no.
Because there are some
thing.
people who do that. Yeah, it could have just been a nerd thing. We'll probably never know unless we ask. There's no need doing any of that. Just it's cool to have the support. But for those who are on that other spectrum of like, yeah, I definitely only want to buy Black, I only want to buy Black things. I support Black owned business, things like that. And I'm not saying you can't do that, but I'm saying, do you share any any talks or anything you like to say, or how do you feel about people only supporting you because you're a Black-owned business?
So I'm gonna go first. I haven't been talking in a while.
Mhm.
So that whole thing, I don't really go with that. That's like Chick-fil-A. People supporting Chick-fil-A because it's a Christian
Christian, yeah.
Mhm.
Christian
based.
That's a Christian.
but
business.
like when you do some of the research on some of the stuff they did,
Mm.
it's not
Kind of
right.
falls to pieces immediately.
Yeah, it's not right. So it's just
No.
like no, I'm just not gonna follow something because because it's a Black owned or anything like that, because they might be into like they might they might have a Black owned business and be like, yeah, I'm a Black owned business, all that stuff. And they sound like crack to the Black people on the street.
Yeah,
Like, bro, excuse me?
Like they sell drugs to kids or something.
It's supporting that fast money life, though.
So it's just like, no, I'm not gonna do it. Like that's just like that superhero.
Wait, what superhero?
He weak
Oh,
though.
no.
Like he
Yeah, he did himself in.
What the Black superhero that was fighting crime that he was caught
Oh,
selling
I just told you
drugs.
about him.
you
Phoenix
talking about
Jones?
it,
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah,
who-
Phoenix
I
Jones.
thought,
Yeah,
see, no, I
Phoenix
thought you was
Jones.
talking about it. What was it called? Invincible. I thought you was talking about the Kingpin dude who took over.
Oh, yeah, that dude too. Like,
Yeah, right. He was the biggest three. I'm sorry if I spoiled this for anyone, but that was the biggest 180 story. I was like, bro, Baticio. All right, man, I'm not gonna get into it. But yeah, I get what you mean by that.
But yeah, so following, I don't advise anybody to follow anything blindly. I don't like, because you know, I'm gonna go into the BLM, Black Lives Matter group. Just found out that one of their advisors or something like that just got all the money and bought like something that was just not useful to the people at all. It was just like I forgot what it was. I read the article such a long time ago, but when I remember we talked about it, it was like, really? And then Yori was just like, see?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was a jet. Like all these mega million churches, and then their
and stuff.
pastors are flying around in jets.
Yeah.
God said they
living
needed,
in mansions.
Yeah, so
needed
yeah.
a plane to
it's like no, I don't know. You're like if you're doing something, like do something like that's right, something that will help the community, like, that will help the community. Like if there's a Black owned business and they're like, yeah, I'm supporting like these kids, like this school's basketball team or something, so kids can have it. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm all for it. Like I'm all for it. Like go for it. But you got to do research. Don't be like, oh, I'm for this because it's Black owned, because it might mess with your morals later on once you find out if they're into some shady stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say actually. Like I don't, well, more or less. If I come across a Black owned business, then you get my curiosity. And I might scroll through to see what you're about. What are you doing? I don't expect any controversy with like a local mom and pop Black store, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, if it's like a little small time, I'm gonna see what you're about. If you have what I need or want at the price I like, no matter which race, but since we're talking specifically Black, I will see what you got. Like it's just, but if I go in your store and I see like you worshiping a devil, like a devil statue in a back room somewhere, then I'm like, yo, like what the hell?
Whatever that thing is, he just like
yeah,
this
the little
or whatever
goat thing, whatever
yeah,
the hell.
goat
Oh my
thing,
god,
just
Baphomet.
sit there,
Okay.
Like, if you got some, if
Do you want to
the
double
vibe,
click that for a hot second? Because I got some information.
Nah. This is gonna get way too long.
I
just
No,
want this
I
question
got- no,
answered, and then-
but yeah, I also support, like if you small time, like if you little mom and pop corner store, then yeah. But if you got some, if you got some weird shit going on, the vibe is off, or
Yeah,
like some,
basement or
you know what I'm saying? I'm just not like, yo, I'm gonna follow you if I follow you on Instagram.
yeah.
That's the biggest L you can probably take. Is just unfollow on social
You
media.
unfollow people? No, that's a whole separate everything now.
All
All right, John. Question to you:
Oh, the same question.
Same question. Yeah. Do you support them just because they're black, or like what does it
Oh,
mean or do to you?
I got some facts for y'all.
Mm.
So, especially on YouTube, I don't know about the rest of social media, but I imagine Instagram is something similar. Um, if you follow something and don't have the interactions that you're supposed to as a follower, that often is a dock to whatever it is you followed. So, for example, if you follow something on YouTube and you never watch their videos, that's a dock on them. That actually makes them like the algorithm doesn't like that. Hold up, did y'all just freeze? Okay, no, y'all just standing still. And then for Instagram, I forget exactly how it works. The Instagram algorithm looks to be a mess, but it's like a lot of people will follow you, never see your posts, and I've never figured out exactly why they don't see you.
Mm-hmm.
But I imagine it's something similar. So there is a possibility that if you just follow people and follow stories and so on the basis like they're black, I'll follow you to support you, you might actually be hurting them.
Oh wow.
And then,
I said, oh wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I know for YouTube, I know exactly how it works for YouTube, where if you follow someone and you never watch their stuff, that's a dock point. The Instagram algorithm is a hot mess. No one fucking knows how that thing works. But on sort of like a less factual basis, how could I put this nicely?
I mean,
and
get
then
it off your
non-cancel
chest.
way. No. We don't do that. Just
Yeah. How do I not get us all set on fire?
It's all right. It's probably been too late anyway. Someone will dig this up in 15 years. It'll get all of us terminated and just
for real.
That plushie's gonna be made by some, I don't know, Nazi or something like that. It's some Dante. He supports the slaughter of all these people. Yeah, that's it. It's they say he lied during
of squids
the
or something.
GR is like not the right
Don't
color.
Even joke about that.
Yeah,
like save the turtles or something.
Yeah.
But so there is something about and not everyone will agree with this, but a lot of people don't like getting stuff purely based off of things that they can't control, right? So I saw this with a lot. Like it wasn't just with like people just buying black because someone was black or hiring people because they were black. I've seen this with like men. I've seen this with women. Wow, that's a weird confusion to make. But I've seen this with women. I've seen this with black people. I've seen it with people of different religions. In general, there is something that often feels icky to people who are generally competent, generally have a good product or a good business. It feels weird when it's like, oh, none of those things, none of my aptitudes are why you followed me or why you're supporting my business. You just saw my skin or my gender and was like, I'm going to support that person. And it's like, that doesn't feel earned. It doesn't even feel right, honestly. And I understand like people's logic of like the scales thing. Because like if you do play the numbers game, it would make sense to take up that like blind support. Because support is support and clout is clout. But even the algorithms are adapting to it, because you could also just make bot accounts, right? And frankly, there's not much of a difference between a bot account following you and an account following you just to give you a follow as support and then never interact with you ever, And so, and I actually wonder if that's why the algorithm like docks you, because like they might be like, oh, that's just a bot follower, even though it's a real account. So there's that angle of it, which is like, I think a lot of it is well-meaning, but a lot of it can get a little hurtful accidentally and a little bit insulting and a little bit like deprecating isn't the right word. It's like, and I don't want to use infantilizing because that word's been like butchered to hell. It's like, it's like people don't see your genuine value. They just see that you're black. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm not getting this point across very well. Like,
you mind if I step in to help you?
Yes, please.
As a business owner or someone who wants to create something, you don't want to be known because you just happen to be black. You want to be known because whatever you created had some type of value and it impacted people. Being black isn't just who you are. Like, you're more than just being Black. You're more than just being this. So to end the conversation, I'm just gonna support him because he's Black does a disservice to the reason that this person is even creating what they're creating.
I wonder if that has a reason why I don't like some of those, like, just off those shirts that say like Black excellence. I'm just like,
those have always triggered me ever.
I just look at those shirts, I'm just like,
I think I remember in high school I saw this chick wear like a Black Queen shirt, and I just stared like it was a badge. I couldn't handle this. I'm like,
do you want to? I mean, do you want to open up the Black royalty fantasy?
No, because we're gonna end the podcast. But, like, we already got enough time here. Like, we're good. But
like, I see those shirts at the gym, and I just be like, shut up. I just came here to work out. That's like when Alec saw those shirts. He sees those shirts at the gym. It's 100% beast mode. Just like, bro, when do you turn it off?
I hate it so much. Pure beast mode all day, bro. It has to turn off though. Like, that's not
you have to
real.
go to sleep.
Exactly.
Eat. What, you just eat like
I can't have. That's why
that's why I wear this shirt right here. It says eat, sleep, anime. Yeah. Look, well, you know what the thing right here? Eat and sleep. 2 things I need to do before anime.
Basic human things, right? Yes. Oh man. But yeah, that's why I gotta tell my partner. That's why my partner shirts annoy me at times, and she knows it. But it's just like, if you're standing within this range, you're within melee range. I'm like, why are you always trying to fight someone? Like, people at the gym to work
I actually like that shirt. That shirt's kind of.
I know you like that shirt.
Yeah, but it makes me chuckle. Like,
yeah, I mean,
that's a straight divide because Dante and I are all about
it's
that
a 50-50. Yeah, y'all two like it, and me, I'm like, why? It's like I'll never police her. Like, yeah, what you want?
I tell everybody, like, they'd be like, yo, you try, like, do you like t-shirt? I'm like, listen, unless, like, I most of the time want just a straight plain t-shirt. I don't want no logos, no nothing on. They're like, you're boring. Just, bro, I'm just wearing a t-shirt just to wear a t-shirt.
I just don't want to make it.
Like, that's it. I'm not trying to catch a case. Like, that's all.
He's turned into a dad, boys and girls. He's turned into a dad. I always enjoy my anime or cartoon.
Yeah, no, anime shirts. Yeah, they're fine at sometimes, but sometimes I just like to wear a straight, just plain collar. That's it, dog. Like, I don't want nobody talking to me, nothing. Be like, that's a nice shirt, dog. Like, all that. I'm just like, thank you.
Yeah, that does happen to me. People look through and they're like, hey, nice shirt, man. Where'd you get the shirt from? How much it cost?
Walmart.
Oh, that's really
$7.
Cool. See you later. So yeah, I mean, it's cool though. I take it. I mean, I enjoy the conversation starters, but some people don't. They just like, leave me alone.
But sometimes you don't want it. You know, sometimes you just want to walk down the street and like not get
and be ignored for eternity. Got it?
A little bit. I mean, I wouldn't call it even being ignored. I would call it just like blending into the background and just minding your own day.
Background character.
All right, so you know that's the end of the podcast.
Yeah, let's cut this.
That's it.
And then,
so if you want to
like and subscribe
to see Jock's work, the link will be in the description for his work.
Thank you.
His website. It'll be links for the Kenny, shut up, dude.
I'm ad-libbing, dog. I'm ad-libbing.
So so links for the Spotify, the Apple, the Google, the Instagram, Facebook, all that.
Oh no.
I'll be in the description.
Everything to everywhere.
Follow, subscribe, like, make
comment.
Don't, like Josh said, don't follow and then don't watch a video, because then the algorithm just don't like you. They don't. It's just you a hater. If you don't support, you're a hater. I'm convinced. Anyway.